Hello! Welcome to the Sweet Tea Shakespeare Hours, where we spend time well by spending it together. I'm Claire Martin.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
We're all here.
Yeah,
Barely.
one last time.
I'm drinking out of my victory horn.
Oh my
because
God, how
I
fun.
think we can all agree that I smashed Claire to bits in the Enneagram typing exercise, whatever you'd call that, tournament.
Do we agree on
Can
that?
we all agree on that? Kelly, Kellie and I
can
are
all
synced
agree on
this.
it. No, I think I lost about 5 of them, but I won the important ones.
Yeah.
I
think you lost the majority.
Yeah, I'm comfortable
Viewers
with
and
5.
listeners,
I might be comfortable with 6.
Tell us in comments how many times I whooped Jeremy in our Enneagram battles.
Or how many times the audience dissented from what you guys thought. That might
Well,
be fun.
yeah, there's that too. How many times did Jeremy and I go off the rails?
I was never on the rails.
We're back for this. We're back for a bonus episode. This is the last time the three of us are gonna sort of convene for Enneagram, so it's a bit bittersweet, but we're really excited because today we're doing something that I think is unprecedented in the Enneagram world, which is rather than typing characters from Shakespeare's complete works, we are going to attempt to type the complete works themselves. Jeremy and I are going to go play by play, and we are going to try to sum up the play, and we're going to talk about what that even means, and we're going to try to sum them up via Enneagram numbers, and then we're going to take a look at if there are any trends in Shakespeare and what numbers he potentially came back to multiple times. But before we dive into all of that, well, great. Fabulous. I mean, I would hope so. That's kind of why we're doing the episode. So before we, what?
No, I have nothing. No.
Okay, you always look up at the camera and then to your microphone when you're about to dispute something I said.
That's because my face is an 8.
Before we dive into the wonder of typing Shakespeare's plays, Kelly, could you just give us a brief rundown again, please, of our 9 types and what we should be on the lookout for?
Yep. So we're going to start with 1. 1 is in the body triad. They're called the Perfectionist or the Reformer. These folks are going to be your, not OCD, but very like attuned to good, bad, right, wrong. Let's fix it. Kind of can't stand the blinds out of sorts in the room. All right. So the 2, we're moving into the heart triad. These are your feelers, your more emotionally driven folks. The 2 is called the helper. So 2s are going to be the folks that can just sort of know what everyone in the room needs. They need to be needed. It's kind of how they feel loved is when they've been able to help you. The 3 is called the achiever or the performer. So I remember several characters came back as 3 for you guys. These folks are kind of all about winning, achieving, knocking things off of their to-do list in order to feel valued, which is how they in turn feel loved. The type 4 rounds out the heart triad, and they are the romantics or the individualists. So these are your artists. You're just sweet emo, like kind of living in the dark, moody places sometimes. Also, there were tons of Shakespeare characters that resonated with the type 4. Crossing into the head space, the head triad or the thinking center of intelligence. You start off with the 5. That's the observer, the investigator, kind of more logically driven and relying on their rationale, a bit more neutral. And as you guys fascinatingly kind of posited, that character may actually be the audience in a Shakespeare play because we had a hard time finding them, right? Okay, so next we have the 6, which is called the loyalist. Super These are folks in abundance. There are tons of loyalists out there. You probably know several yourselves if you aren't one listening. These folks are, again, relationship driven, but they derive their safety from kind of numbers. And they really are all about their community, steadfast, also kind of good in a pinch because they're worst case scenario sort of driven folks. The 7 is the last number in the thinking triad. These are your enthusiasts. They're the party people. They're going to bring the fun. They're going to be the folks that are sort of always flighting from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, all because of an avoidance of pain. And they're always kind of planning out their next big adventure, life of the party once again. All right, so then we move back into the body triad with the type 8, which is the challenger or the asserter. These folks are going to have easy access to anger. They're going to be very, very gut driven, very like instinctual folks, you know, and kind of have a power, a sense of presence about them. The 9 is our last number, and that's also in the body triad. They're way up at the tip top of the diagram. These are called your peacemakers. They are very go with the flow folks, super concerned about everyone kind of getting along and being in agreement, and so that their inner C isn't disrupted at all. So that's the 9 types. That's probably the quickest I've ever explained them. So you'll have to watch the episodes to get a bit more. But yeah. So I'm super fascinated to see what your criteria are, though, for typing the plays. I know I kind of threw that at you guys very broadly. Are you going by quantity of people, like the population of the play as to like the more dominant, or you're thinking overall theme sort of feel of the play?
Yeah, I'm going with the latter.
We're going thematically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If the play was a person, what is that person?
Love it.
What is that person type? So one of the things that we will probably come back to a few times, Kelly, is what the types go to in stress, because of course these are plays, and so they are built on character conflict, and characters not achieving what they desire, characters in tricky situations. So when conflicts heat up in these plays, we're going to come to you to find out, okay, well, what happens when these types go to stress, because that will help us to type them more accurately.
So cool. Yep. Awesome.
Yep. So, Jeremy, are you ready to get into it?
I'm so ready, I can't even.
Okay, great. You keep saying that. You sound like someone who's 25 and trying to be 12. I think you should just take "I can't even" out of your vernacular. So we're gonna go comedies, histories, and then tragedies, and we're gonna work our way alphabetically through each genre. So starting with the comedies, All's Well That Ends Well. What do you have?
All's Well That Ends Well for me is a 9. Just a 9. That's what the title's about. It's a 9. It's trying to make peace. It does make peace.
Yeah, that's what I have too. And I have it as a really like a dissatisfying 9. Like I don't find the happy ending, quote unquote, that the play comes to make me feel particularly good about myself in the world. But I do think that because that play is driven by Helena, who is such a 9, and the play itself is interested in weirdly ironing out all the issues that it has brought up in a really almost oppressive way in that last scene. Yeah, I think it's a 9. So as you like it.
I have it as a 5. 5s are withdrawers, and that play is about withdrawing. And it is also about observing. The whole play is about observing. It's about like treating people like little specimens and sort of seeing how they function, like this little chemical personality against this little chemical personality. And actually some of the most significant scenes in that play are about observing. Like watch it, like people hidden, and they're watching other people behave and making some assessments on that. And I think Rosalind is the kind of a lot of her language. She's the most talkative in that play, and actually in all of Shakespeare. A lot of what she has to say is a reflection of has 5 quality to it. I know you think she's an 8, but like it's clear she's read catalog after catalog after catalog about sort of falling in love and old poetry and old songs and things like that, and she's always bringing up that that information to help control the situation. I still am willing to say, 8. That's fine, but I think the personality of the play is 5. What about you?
Interesting. Well, for anyone who was offended by the obscurity of the characters we picked for 5s and the fact that Jeremy and I had a tough time getting into the 5 episode, I feel like we'll leave you As You Like It as a boon, because As You Like It is a great play and kind of universally beloved. So I had As You Like It as a 6 because I see the play as being profoundly about loyalty and safety and what we do when we're loyal and what we do when we want to be safe. And so I was thinking at it more, I suppose, in terms of like the what the characters feel like they owe to each other, as opposed to, so when I think of them like going into the forest, right, like retreating to the forest of Arden, I don't see that as much as withdrawing from the world as being like, well, Rosalind is going to be loyal to herself and her father. Celia is loyal to Rosalind. Touchstone is loyal to apparently both of them. Like the Duke is loyal to his little court, and so he brings them with. So I think of, and like Orlando is loyal to Rosalind. That's why he writes all of the poetry. And also, but there also is this self-preservation aspect to it, right? Like these are characters that are being persecuted, and that is why they flee. And even Rosalind says in that that first scene where they decide to flee, she says, well, it's dangerous. It's dangerous for young women to travel alone. So I think I could pass as a boy, so I'm just going to do that. They all, even though Rosalind is this incredibly sort of strong, outspoken character, she also has a very refined sense of like how to be safe and how to protect herself. And even, I would say, even wooing Orlando, part of her motivation there is to make sure that this person that she loves, that she wants, is as fully committed heart and soul as she feels. And there's a way of protecting her heart in that. So, but I see the value in 5. So what do you think, Jeremy?
I think I won.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that because we don't have a tiebreaker, this is going to be a very difficult game.
If our viewers would like to tell us who they think won the debate, I would be more than happy to lie and say the opposite.
So I think it's a 5 with a 6 swing in growth, going to 8.
I like
so
that.
You're both right.
We're both right.
Okay, what's next?
Comedy Bearers.
Comedy Bearers. I put as a 6 because I think the whole thing is about loyalty to family and to like duty, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, completely.
That's
I have
the end of my
a
argument.
6 as well.
Great.
I have a 6 also.
So we won. Great.
We both win. Cymbeline.
This was a tougher one for me but I ended up putting it as a 2, and the reason I put it as a 2 is because, I mean, there is a lot of helping, but there's a lot of manipulation happening in that play too, under the guise of helping. Yep. So it's a 2 for me. The dark 2.
That's what I put as well.
Great. We both won.
A dark 2, but a dark 2 with some bright patches. I mean, I don't think, like, I think that that play is redeemed partly by Imogen's like resourcefulness and also her resilience. Mm-hmm. Like she is possibly one of the most resilient heroines in Shakespeare. And then I think the other redeeming quality of that play is Pisanio, who we talked a bit about earlier this week.
I just want you to know I'm undefeated right now.
Thank you for clarifying that for everyone. All right. Anyone who tuned in to Jeremy and I yesterday when we did a deep dive into Shakespeare's Love's Labour's Lost heard us start to talk about this. But Jeremy, what do you have for LLL?
1. It's a 1. It's a 1.
Yep.
It's a 1. It's all about rules and form and structure and all of those kinds. And reform actually is the framework of that play is reform. It's a 1. It does other things later, but it's a 1 for me.
Well, I would say even the surprise ending, even the twist ending makes it more 1 actually, because the girls instruct the boys to reform themselves and to reform their kind of conceited ideas about love and superiority. So I would say that like there's a oneness to the the structure and the meter and the adherence to the rules of poetry that pervade that play. But at the end, I would say thematically, it also becomes about, well, how do we become better? What do we need to do to be better? So yeah, LLL is a 1. Measure for Measure.
Measure for Measure, also a 1. For me, in terms of personality of that play, is law and order, grace versus rules. And Grace does not do very well in that play, actually. It does not make it. And actually, the title of the play ought to tell you everything you need to know about the number. It is about calculation, list, all of those things. It's a 1 for me.
I have a 1 as well. And I think that is a bit like All's Well, in that part of the reason it manifests that, or that type is what it ultimately is because of the leading characters. Like All's Well That Ends Well would not be a 9 if it weren't for the fact that Helena is our protagonist, that she's our heroine. I don't think Measure for Measure, I feel like Measure for Measure would be an 8. It would be about oppression and tyranny if it weren't for the fact that Isabella is a protagonist and she is also a 1 fighting for the right reasons. And so we have this battle of the wits between a 1 and a 1. And those scenes are the heartstone of the play. And I think that like it's that debate, it's that tension.
Or is it the body stone? That was a deep meta Enneagram joke right there. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, rewrite it as you go along. It's fine.
Moving on. Merchant of Venice. What do you have?
Merchant of Venice is, I think you will agree with this one too, a 2. It's a 2.
Yeah.
It's a 2. It's all about helping and manipulating and helping. I mean, there's honest to goodness, like there's health in that play a little bit. And it's all about helping.
Where's the positive helping in that play? Do you mean like Antonio helping Bassanio?
There is some health in that play. I think there's health in that play.
Where?
Lorenzo and Jessica as an example.
Oh, you buy that. You buy into that. I don't.
I mean, I think that's what we're supposed to think about that. I don't know that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yeah. I think we're supposed to look at it and be like, oh, there is some hope in the next generation. That's what I think we're supposed to think.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't buy that love story at all. I find them both. I mean, if I'm Jessica, the most sympathetic character in the play, with the exception of the Prince of Morocco. But yeah, I don't. I think that is a really toxic relationship. But yes, I do agree with you that it is a 2, and I think Antonio's 2-ness and the fact that he kicks off the plot is a huge part of that. It's his 2-ness that like sets everything in motion. Mm-hmm. Okay. Kelly, what's the relationship between 2 and 6? Because I also sensed a lot of 6-ness in Merchant of Venice. A lot of loyalty.
In a similar, hold on, let me not tell you wrong. They are both thinking repressed. They are also oriented in the present, and they're in the, not the positive outlook, they're in the not assertive. Yeah, they're in the assertive stance when it comes to getting their needs met. So
okay.
Yeah, they show
I think that checks out. Great.
Literal pound of flesh.
Merry Wives of
Merry
Wives of Windsor.
7. That's what I have. It was written to be a party. It is a party. It's a party. It's about partiers.
I have it as, I agree with that. I agree that it's populated with lots of 7s. The tone of a lot of the scenes is 7, but I actually Merry Wives.
Yeah, they're fairies. In the end, they dress up as fairies.
Oh, they dress up as them. Yes, they're not real fairies. We haven't gotten to Midsummer yet. Merry Wives of Windsor. I have it as a 3, actually. I think the whole play is driven by wanting to achieve things. Now, what is the desired goal and the tactics that are taken to achieve those goals end up creating a lot of 7 scenarios, like creating a kind of 7 energy. But Falstaff is out to achieve the the two merry wives are out to achieve the sort of opposite thing, which is to mortify him as he tries to woo them. Anne Page is out to marry the person that she wants to marry. The three suitors are like chasing after Anne. She's their pursuit. And all of the sort of crazy side characters are like dueling and fighting and like taunting and teasing each other because they all want to kind of they all want to win. They all want to reign supreme. And for a lot of guys, it's having a woman, whether it's, Falstaff getting the Mistress Ford and Mistress Page, or any of these men getting Anne Page. But I think that I think the play is about everyone kind of performing to a certain extent. Like I think everyone is really there's a level of narcissism in that play with that kind of covers everyone. Everyone wants to seem like the best. And I think when you throw a lot of people who are sort of image conscious and chasing after a goal together, I think you get scenes that are parties, or scenes that are hugely entertaining to watch as an audience. But I think the play is three.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and what it makes me think is there a play written ever where people don't want things in it? And that's the kind of I don't find the wants in Merry Wives to be particularly strong. I think they're sort of circumstantial. We need this character to have this excuse or this character to have this want so that we can get to this scene where someone's hiding in a laundry basket like a mad person. You know what I mean? Or we can get to this scene where they're fairies dancing around or whatever. That's just me. So we might need a verdict from our moderator.
So their 3s and 7s are kind of considered lookalikes, mainly because of their energetic sort of energy, right? They're both kind of moving forward. So that's probably where a little bit of this comes from. They're both in the positive outlook stance. So when they're dealing with conflict, they're always going to oh, but wait, what about this? This is better versus, the withdrawing or the aggressive sort of stances. Jeremy, you kind of nailed a thing about want. So focus, where's the focus in the thing, right? Is it just because it's fun or is there a purpose? Planning, same sort of thing. 3s are really amazing at having actionable plans, but the 7s kind of are always conceptualizing the plan. I'm not sure how that pertains to the play, but maybe if there's form, more form or purpose to the party. And then having options or multitasking is the other thing that kind of is a distinguishing factor for people who are 3s or 7s. 3s like options, but within limits, and 7s want unlimited options. There are no limits.
I think there are personalities in that play who definitely fall in the 3 line.
I would agree, but I think you're right. I think the play as a whole is more of a 7. Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
If you enjoy the work of Sweet Tea Shakespeare, the number one thing you can do is log on to patreon.com/sweetteashakes and make a monthly pledge. Those pledges start at $5 and they go up to $500. Actually, you can set whatever amount you want. At certain levels, there are great perks, including in-person tickets, and those include all digital access throughout the year. So if we have a streaming event, a streaming concert, that normally you would pay for, patrons at the $20 level just get in. They just get in. It's delightful. But that is the greatest way that you can show support to Sweet Tea Shakespeare and help us continue to do the work of this podcast and so many of the other things that we do throughout the year.
I also had a 7 for the next play, which is A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Where did I put it? I had some trouble with this one, actually. Where did I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah, I'm going to be softer on this one. I put it down as a 5, actually, for some of the same reasons that I did As You Like It, which is that it is withdrawing. And I listen, it's absolutely, it becomes a romp, and there are fairy parties and there are mechanical parties. It's all of that. And it is also about withdrawing and rediscovering, and they're the masks and the defensiveness, and sort of have to getting behind some of that. And the central conceit of the play is is sort of having that mask taken away, those defenses taken away, so that you can sort of see some authentic jealousy interaction, particularly among the lovers, and with the Titania bottom thing too. But I could totally be persuaded on this one. I just had trouble finding the right one, and 7 didn't quite seem it.
I just feel like in this play, and this was how I differentiated it from Merry Wives. In Merry Wives, I saw a lot of I'm not saying that desiring a woman as like a prize is not an arbitrary, sort of old, like sexist, old school trope in storytelling, but in Merry Wives, the entire story is propped up on these pursuits, right? The story only happens because we have this double narrative of one man pursuing 2 women, 3 men pursuing 1 woman, right? It's those 2 stories that like carry everything. Whereas in A Midsummer Night's Dream, yes, Lysander and Hermia have a goal. Yes, everyone has a goal, but everyone approaches the pursuit of that goal with just kind of like unbridled enthusiasm. There's no sense that anyone has a very clear plan. Like even Oberon, who sets a lot of it in motion, like he's not the best planner. He gets the flower and he entrusts it to someone who's already established himself as kind of a mischievous, distractible scamp. And when he finds out that Titania's fallen in love with a guy with donkey ears, he's like, well, that's funny. But he didn't set it in motion, right? Like he didn't plan that. It was just sort of like a happy fallout for this kind of conceptual idea he had that he would make her fall in love with someone random. And Hermia and Lysander, like, they just flee into the forest like with abandon because they love each other so much. And Helena pursues Demetrius into the forest just because she loves him so much. But no one in the play seems to have a clear picture of how they're going to attain their goals. They just kind of like fling themselves after it with kind of zeal and just kind of unbridled enthusiasm. So and I think that there's a kind of optimism in the play because these characters, they're not Machiavellian, they're not scheming, they're not manipulative, they're just like, they just hurl themselves after what they want. All of them, even the fairies and the mechanicals. So I think it's a 7, and I think and then when you have all those characters doing all of that, the energy you get from the play is also a 7. I would
the only thing I would add to the 5 argument is that the whole thing is about watching. The entire play is about watching. It's about fairies watching lovers and fairies watching mechanicals, and then there's a play in a play, so like the mechanicals are being watched by the lovers, and the royals are being watched by the fairies. And then it turns out at the end when Robin talks to the audience and says, you've been watching us this whole time, and are there sort of other real fairies watching you? And I think the whole thing is about that. It's constructed that way. But I also agree it's a romp.
That's
both Merry Wives and Midsummer written for a party. I mean, they're written for a party. You know what I mean?
So 7s,
yeah, I mean,
7s go to 5 in growth, just FYI. And what that looks like is slowing down and sitting with your observations, and being more like perceptive about your planning.
I'm calling a tie.
I don't think it's a tie. I think I'm right. Because the 5 is all about genuine investigation, genuine research. Puck watching the mechanicals do a terrible rehearsal and laughing at them is not
bad at being
after
a 5.
Information.
You can be very bad at being
bad at it.
But I'm not talking about your success. I'm talking about your motivation. The motivation is not to learn. The motivation is to mock. So that's a different like I feel like a 5, like if Midsummer was a 5, then when the fairies are watching the lovers, for instance, like when Oberon and Puck are like, we're invisible now, we're going to watch this scene, then I feel like what they would be doing is they would be watching it and be like, so how did this happen? And why don't they love each other? And like, we should figure this out. And then they have like a soliloquy to the audience, right? They would talk to the audience about like, well, this is what happens when you fall in love with a man who's expressed love for someone else. Like they would think through it. And that's not what happens. They just watch it and they're like, oh, this sucks. Well, let's try to fix it.
All I'm saying is Oberon has in his mind a catalog of potential plants that could work. And he applies those plants scientifically, but not well. I don't know.
Yeah, but he doesn't do it. He lets Puck do it.
There's a party in it. I agree with that. There's a party in it. It took place at a party.
Yes, but I'm not saying that the play is a party. I'm saying it goes deeper than that. I'm saying that the motivations of the characters are more 7 than 5.
Yeah.
And the fact that they end up like overseeing each other, like that happens a lot in Shakespeare. But I think you have to be careful about whether it's they just happen to oversee something and they're like, that's interesting, or whether they're like actually like watching to watch and learn, which we also see sometimes. Like
yeah, I get you. I just don't care about the characters in this particular analysis. I'm sort of thinking about the personality of the play, and I think it's about watching.
And I think it's about a party. I think it's a 7.
Okay, so I'm circling that one because it might be the first one I might have sort of lost begrudgingly.
Much Ado About Nothing.
Much Ado About Nothing. So this one's hard too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not a 7, but that's where I have it. And it is also a romp. It's also sort of, but it goes to really dark places. I had trouble with this one. Because it gets so dark when it gets dark. It is not a fun place to be in that play for a good stretch. And like one of its main characters is a 7. So it's a tough fit for me, but I put it as a 7. It says Much Ado in the title, like Muppets in the title, but it's not great there. I'll be honest with you. I'll give this one up.
I have it as an 8. And we could argue it's an 8-wing 7. But I think the play is about confrontations, and some of those confrontations are light and playful and romantic, and some of those confrontations are literally a man saying, I will kill you for what you did to my daughter and my family. I think it is about people confronting their own capacity for love and their own romantic vulnerability. In the case of Benedict and Beatrice, I think it is about confronting the truth, as when Claudio and Don Pedro find out we done fucked up. I think it is a play that is all about facing off, whether it's with a person or an idea or a reality or a personal feeling. I think that play is about confrontation. And so, and also I think that like the most seismic moments in that play happen in moments of like head-to-head tension, right? It's two characters yelling at each other, or it's two characters, it's like one character accusing another, or it's one character screaming I love you at the other one. Like I just think that the play is it's forceful in a way that the 8 is. So yeah, I have it as an 8.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about the play a lot because I'm directing it this year. So I'm trying to start to get a handle on like what's happening and where it goes. So that one actually was one I sort of pondered for a while, just because I was like, how am I going to tap into this story? All right, Pericles.
I have Pericles as a 9. And part of this is the way the play is sort of about merging. It takes place in lots of different places. It's about how Pericles fits into each of those places. It has one of those endings that's about sort of the reunion, and it just has that feel for me. Yeah, that's a 9. I think it's a 9.
I had it as a 6 or a 9. I like 9 better than what like my reasons for a 6, so I'm willing to just say yes, it's a 9. I had both numbers written down because I couldn't decide. It's interesting to me though, because I have other romances as 9s as well, and I think that might be the 9 may end up being the number that we come to as like defining the romance genre. 9 may because, and it's interesting because Kellie told us on Wednesday that 9s are all about perspective, and Shakespeare of course wrote the romances at the end of his career, and I think that he had more life perspective on what it means to grow up, perspective on humanity, perspective on what plays well with audiences, perspective on what kind of writing he's most invested in. Like I think that like they're not just about reunion and reconciliation and peacemaking in the stories themselves. I think they're coming from a place of Shakespeare coming to his own like moment of 9ness in kind of the arc of his life, maybe.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay, Taming of the Shrew.
Taming is an 8.
Yeah,
it's like so 8. It's 100% 8.
We don't have to talk about it much more than that. It's an 8. So I had the Tempest as a 9. What do you have?
So I had the worst time doing the Tempest because I could it's sort of like me. I could see it as 3 numbers. I don't disagree with a 9. I think it is about the reunion part. You know, it's like bringing all these disparate things together and all of that. But so much of the content of that play is about 2. And the relationships of that play are built on the helping, and not always in good ways, the manipulation and all of that, and the sort of controlling things behind the scenes, and even up to and including how people feel. So there's that, and I also, there's part of me that thinks there's a little bit of 5 there too. Because the whole thing is about withdrawal. They've all withdrawn. They're all like sort of behind this wall, maybe learning some lessons internally. And then before the play, the promise of the play is the breakthrough of that wall as they all sail off back to Milan. But I don't think it's, I think it's just got a flavor of that. 9 or 2.
Okay. Troilos and Cressida. I don't know why they always list TNC as a comedy. I don't know what it is. It's a disaster.
Now may not be the best time to say I reject genres. But I know you don't, because you're an 8, with a lot of 1 going on. But I don't like genres at all. I hate them. I reject them. But I think Troilos and Cressida, this one's a tough one for me because I don't know it as well as some others. But I'm gonna say it's an 8. And the reason I'm gonna say it's an 8 is because you use the word confrontation. It's that, and it's about people who want to move in the opposite direction of that a little bit. But they get caught up in it all the time, and it's just a lot of 8 personalities just like shouting at each other for a long time. You know, it takes place in a war. It's 8.
Yeah, it takes place in a stupid war that like only a handful of people are invested in, and not for the reason of the pretext of the war itself. Like no one really cares about Helen. Everyone just cares about proving that they can kill other people. It's just one big ego contest between a bunch of jacked guys with swords. I also had it as an 8. It's a very dissatisfying play. I think what's funny about the play, though, is that you have these 2 lovers at the center who are like they're weirdly 4s. Like you have these 2 like kind of smitten, but also, in Troilus' case, seriously emo 4s. Just just whining and wringing their hands and like flopping around. Like Romeo gets a bad rap for being a hopeless romantic, emphasis on hopeless. And I happen to love R&J, and I love Romeo precisely for that reason. But I think in Troilos and Cressida, it's a bit harder to forgive because the 2 characters, in Troilus in particular, he doesn't have the faith and hope in his love that Romeo does. He doesn't buy into. He doesn't even believe in it, even as he feels it. He's like manipulative and distrustful of the person that he proclaims to love above all else. And it's just, to me, it's the same. It's like Posthumus and Claudio. I'm like, how much can you love her if you don't even trust her? So but I think the play is an 8, and I think you've got these two disaster 4s kind of like mooning over each other at the center. Two Gentlemen of Verona.
Two Gentlemen of Verona. I have to find it in my copious notes. Two Gentlemen of Verona. Give me a minute. You tell me first.
I think the answer's in the title. I think it's a 2.
I don't have it as a 2.
What do you have it as?
I have it as a 6. Because
yeah,
the central question of that play is loyalty. And that's why I put it there. Proteus isn't very good at it.
Yeah.
It's not. But other people in that play are. Like the 3 other characters. Yeah. That's what I had.
Okay. I have it. I was interesting because like I just see so much deceit and manipulation in that play. And even sometimes this is the characters like deceiving and manipulating themselves. There just seems to be so many what is it called? Not good faith, bad faith tactics happening in that play. That felt very 2 to me. But I do agree that the play is fundamentally about loyalty, and loyalty between characters who sometimes have never even met. Like Sylvia's loyalty to the idea of Julia, of Proteus's love, even though she's never met her. So I'll concede that as a 6. I mean, Two Gents is one of those plays where I'm like, I struggle with it a lot, so I don't want to think about it too deeply. Two Noble Kinsmen.
3.
Yep, same. Let us go achieving.
Yep, let's go get things. Achieving people, achieving things, achieving land.
Yep.
Good,
Winter's
I won.
Tale.
Great, what's next? Winter's Tale. I have as a 4, precisely because of the romantic thing. Because the 4 is called a romantic. And that play is streaky and like upsetting, Sturm and Drang at the beginning, and then it does the exact opposite.
Sure.
In the second half.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's got all the emotional content to sort of break your heart and then rebuild it. That's why I have it at 4.
I have it as a 9. Same as Tempest. Same as, what was the other romance I mentioned? Pericles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the play is about gaining perspective. And not just Leontes, but all of the characters. It's like the fact that I think the play is about the fact that time allows people to heal. Time is time is an actual character in that play. Time has a monologue. But I think the play is about how time enables us as people to make peace with our mistakes and to make peace with each other. And time allows us to heal ourselves to the point that we can make peace with people who have hurt us immeasurably. And all of the characters in that play gain perspective, even the young lovers, even Florizel and Perdita. Like, not only does she get perspective about like who she is in the world, but also like they get perspective about what matters, because when I think Perdita, until Florizel says, I don't care that my dad just, found out about our romance, like I'm leaving the country with you. I'm not giving you up. I think up until that moment, Perdita was like, yeah, the minute his dad finds out and says like, I disinherit you, he's gonna throw me over. The kingdom is too important to him. And it's not until Florizel says that she's like, oh wow, no, he really means it. Like, he really loves me. And I think the play is about growth and how it takes time to grow and heal. And the fact that like at the end of the day, like making peace is the only thing that making peace with each other is the only thing that will ever allow us to heal. We have to be able to forgive, otherwise we kind of can destroy ourselves. So, but I think there's a lot of emotionality in it as well. So I can see the 4, influence.
Deep or temperate? When you say emotionality, like the 4 is going to be deep, the 9 is going to be a bit more even keeled, though it is there. And again, keep in mind the 9 can merge into, right? So it could just be sort of this kind of merging idea. Deep talk or small talk, again, like let's talk about, the meaning of life versus, hey, how's the weather? So that'd be 4 or 9. And then when something doesn't go the way as planned, is there more an atmosphere of lament or positivity or optimism?
Okay,
So
Jeremy, you win with a 4
You win the
then.
last question. The play literally goes, but I think the other two are 4s. The other two.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a 2 to 1 because I think the last question is actually like that's why that play is what it is because we have the option to have the tragic lament and instead we go to Bohemia. All right, my history plays.
Did we do
what
12th Night? Did we do 12th Night?
Oh no, we didn't. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's a 9 for me. For all the reasons you just described about The Winter's Tale, I happen to believe are true about 12th Night.
I agree. I totally agree. I had it as a 9 also.
Great. Histories, right? Is that what's next?
Richard II.
This was a tough one to me. I had a whole list of things that I could like 6 plays that I'm like, I don't know. And I feel I don't know about this. So it's a 2. That's what I settled on as a 2, and it's mostly because of Richard's personality. And because he drives so much of that play. I don't think Bolingbroke's a 2. I don't think the plot's a 2. I don't think any of that's true. But the personality is about something like, look at what I have done for you. England, whoever you are. That's Richard's personality. He's like, look at all of these things that I am doing for you. And the fact that you will not like simmer down or do what I ask or behave like a subject is the inner conflict of that play. Do you know what I mean? And it's not the outer conflict, but it is the inner conflict in my view. And that's why I landed on a 2. But I'm willing to give it up.
It's interesting you say that because we both had the character of Richard as 3s, both of us. Mm-hmm. So have you changed your mind about him?
I probably have. I mean, I do think he wants things. He does. I mean, he likes that idea. And the play is about the opposite of achievement for him. But I don't know.
Do you love the arts? Do you love Sweet Tea Shakespeare? Then you should consider being a guest on one of our podcasts. For more information, get in touch with us at hours@sweetteashakespeare.com. That's HOURS at sweetteashakespeare.com.
I have it as a 3 for the same reasons that you said about it, like being really sort of coming from the main character. But I think he's image conscious. He's narcissistic. He is a performer. He is a massive drama queen. And I think that the play is about achieving the throne and what it takes to achieve the throne. And in the end, Richard can't hack it, even though he is an achiever. And I think that's part of what makes the play so satisfying to watch. Henry IV, Part 1.
Henry IV, Part 1. Where are my notes? I have it as a 6. Central question is loyalty in that play. It's Hal's loyalty to his family. It's Falstaff's loyalty. It's Hotspur's loyalty. It's the Civil War and its loyalty. That play is about loyalty to me, even though it's about many other things. I think it's a perfect play. But to me, if it's a person, it's about loyalty.
Yep, I would agree. I had a 6-wing 7 because we got to get the party in there somewhere.
Sure.
Like I think Falstaff is enough of a presence that the play has a 7-wing. But yes, I agree. It's a 6. Henry IV, Part 2.
It's a 1 for me. And that is because for me, it's shifting away from questions of loyalty to questions of duty, and which is, I mean, it's the same characters essentially, but it's just addressing a different question, and it's sort of homing in on that duty message a bit more, and so that's why I have it as a 1.
As do I. Way to go. Henry V.
8. We agree.
Yeah. Yeah. If we didn't agree, that would be odd. It's an 8. And it's a beautiful 8. I love that. I love that ridiculous play. Henry VI, Part 1.
Oh gosh, so many. I have it as a 9. I have it as a 9 because of Henry, and because of the sort of like about it's a play about being run over.
Yeah.
And that's
True.
sadly, sorry, 9s. But that's
know.
why I put it. I have each of these plays in a different category. Each of the Henry Sixes in a different category, and for me, it's a 9.
As do I.
Yeah, but it's not a great feeling one like some of the others we've talked about.
I had a 6 because I think it is also about loyalty. I think Henry VI Part 1 and Henry IV Part 1 are fascinating because I think they're actually interested in the same theme and they go after it in totally different ways, and it's really satisfying in one play and it is really devastating and like disheartening in the other.
Yep. I think that's true as well.
And that works because Henry IV Part 1 is all about the ascension of a character that we know is going to achieve great things, and Henry VI is about the ascension of a king that we know is going to fail great things. So I think that works, but I think they're both 6s. Henry VI Part 2.
I have it as a 2, and it centers around that manipulation question.
Yep, I have it as well.
It's more of a, for me, it's more of an exploration about how people are helping badly, and or with ulterior motives the whole time.
Malicious intent. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. God, and again, we say, I'm so sorry, 2s. There are beautiful 2s in the world. We do love you. Those of you who are out there, we don't think that all 2s are evil. I mean, Jeremy might, but I certainly don't.
Might.
Evil's a strong word.
Henry VI Part 3.
I have it as a 3.
What? I have it as an 8. The whole play is about battles. It's just like one battle after another.
Yeah, I think it's because it centers in on that sort of issue of ambition and accomplishment, and there's an end to these battles at the end of that, and like we're turning the page to Richard III, and I think it's pointing in that direction. So, hooray.
Interesting. See, because the thing about ambition and about, like achieving and attaining, to me, that's a theme throughout all the Henry Sixes. I don't think it's unique to Henry VI Part 3. I think Henry VI Part 3 is where shit hits the fan and we have the characters who most want and are most achieving, like clashing, like decisively clashing. And also I think that the real achiever in that play, who's Richard of Gloucester, who will become Richard III, because Henry VI Part 3 is like, that's his origin story. That's his Marvel movie origin story, is that play. He's the only one who is actually achieving. Everyone else is kind of in autopilot mode, like we hate Yorks, we hate Lannisters, we fight them. He's the only one who seems to be have the kind of 3 plan, right? The mapped out 3 plan that Kellie was mentioning. Everyone else to me in that play is just like, everyone's just swinging their clubs because they got them. Which is why I have Richard III as a 3.
So do I.
Play. Yeah.
I'm just seeing them as 2 chapters of the same story. I have it as a 3.
What about King John?
King John. Okay, here was another one that I had trouble. I've played King John. I had trouble fitting it exactly, but I think I'm right, actually. I think it's a 5. I think it is about...
I think so, too.
I think it's about his withdrawing. He doesn't want to, but that's how he's built.
Yes.
And and like these lords are sort of confrontational in ways that he doesn't love. He's putting defenses up. It's all of that. He's a great thinker. And he is behind a wall. And that's what I think the play's about. Okay, so I won that one. Great. What's next?
Henry VIII, a play I could not care less about.
To me it's a 3 because it's all about ambition. Someone's ambition. Wolsey.
Yeah,
Henry,
that's fine.
All of that.
I mean, I have it as a 3 that Shakespeare shoehorns into 9-ness because he needs to not make the monarchy mad.
Yeah, it's propaganda too. Yeah, so yeah.
It's just Protestant propaganda. All right, All right, Antony and Cleopatra, what do you got?
7. This was another one of those that I mean, the content is
Okay,
very 7.
interesting.
It's very much about a party.
Talk to me about that.
But like obviously the battle, we talked about this when we were dealing with the characters. But that play is either a 7 or it's a 1, and it sort of depends on which one you like the most. But it is about Antony and Cleopatra's partying versus Octavius's duty, and how Antony is torn between those two worlds. So I landed on a 7 because the title of the play is about the two partiers. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Someone says, Emily Garrison says Antony and Cleopatra is a 3 in her book.
Yeah, that's Emily. That's what I have. Thank you for representing, girl.
I just don't get how it's about ambition. The title characters don't care about it.
You know, there are other things to a 3 besides just ambition, right?
Well, no.
Yeah. So let's there's more to every type than just one quality. And that's the poor 2s. We keep coming back to manipulation, even though 2s have a lot of other qualities as well. It's just that in Shakespeare we have a lot of manipulative characters, and that's, I think, how we keep returning to that motif. But no, 3s are performers. 3s can be very image conscious. 3s can be quite like self-centered. They're out for themselves. They're out to perform their identity in such a way that people will appreciate and like laud them. I mean, honestly, like the egos in Antony and Cleopatra are out of control.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I just think, and you're not wrong. I mean, Cleopatra is an actor. Antony is an actor. I mean, yes, but the play is sort of about them being forced to sort of put those things away for the sake of each other, for the sake of their circumstance, all of that, and it's about the lifestyle. For me, it's about the lifestyle of Egypt versus the lifestyle of Rome. That's why I made that decision.
Yeah, but also like they are, even as Antony recognizes that like he's so compromised with Cleopatra, like he's so committed to her on a profound level, and I'm not saying honorably, but like he is at least physically, sort of committed to her, but he still wants to. He still tries to achieve, right? Like he still.
I don't think he does. I think he's doing the opposite. I think he's trying to get the hell out of there as many times as he can. I think it's all begrudging. I think he's drawn to it. I think he understands it. I think he knows it. I think he has loyalty to it. So probably my second place number would have been a 6, actually, because it's about Antony choosing between this loyalty and that loyalty. I had a 6
as an option. But I had 3 or 6.
I don't think he's into it at all. I think he's forced. He's not into Octavia. He's not into going back to Rome. He's doing it because of the sort of like he's not a good chess player, and Octavius is a great chess player. And what he would much rather be doing is boozing it up in Cleopatra's lap.
Right, because he's a hedonist. Yeah, no, I get that. But I think he still wants to achieve like some kind of like glory or legacy. And I think both Cleopatra and Antony are like obsessed with how the world's going to remember them.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Especially Cleopatra. If the play was called Cleopatra, yeah, sure. Maybe
a 3. Yeah. All right, Coriolanus.
I was a 6. This just comes back to the whole thing is about loyalty and disloyalty and blah. But like,
I have it as a 1. I have it as a 1.
Okay.
Law, stricture, order. What the hell? Like how do we impose order / how do we like fight against unjust order from the plebeian side? With a 1, I think that I think the lead character is emotionally constipated in a kind of one way where he's like Angelo. There's so much suppressed there, right? In order to do his job and be a good soldier. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a great play. I don't know that. I think it's a great play. I think it's a great play.
I think it's a great thought experiment. I think it's a great like interrogation of like Republican government, and in that sense, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I don't like the story. Like, I wouldn't want to watch it on stage. I would just want to like read it.
I love the production I saw at the Globe in 2000. So much I went back and watched it twice.
Wow.
Also, I should say that the actor who played Jeffrey the butler in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was in it, and he was great.
Bless. All right, Hamlet.
4.
I don't want to get bogged down with this one.
4.
Okay, I have it as a 5. I have it as a 5. You talk about plays being all about watching. Hamlet is literally all about watching each other and like suspiciously watching each other and trying to learn information.
Is
trying to
about
research,
his emotional experience.
I don't see how you could have the play Hamlet and not think of it as a 5.
He's the most important speech in entire Western literature is about, do I want to live or do I not want to live? I'm not saying he's not like emo. I'm just saying the play is about like everything you were saying about As You Like It and Midsummer earlier about like watching, being watched, interrogating, trying to find out information. Like that is Hamlet. That is what drives at Hamlet. Everyone is watching everybody else suspiciously. Everyone is trying to get info, get intel. Yeah. Hamlet won't act until he's excavated enough. Yeah, but I think that's what he does. I think what he's about though is an existential crisis. That's what I think he's having. Okay, what's next?
Maybe I just don't. Julius Caesar.
1.
Yeah. Absolutely is a 1. And that's why I was like, oh, are all of the sort of Roman plays 1s? And then once I got to A and C, I was like, no.
Emily thinks Hamlet could be a 1. She thinks the whole play is about trying to find the right thing to do and being paralyzed by not knowing, which is a very Lutheran way to read that play, which I like.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
like it.
That's there's a lot of faith like laced into that.
Yep.
King Lear.
King Lear's about a billion things. I think it's about loyalty, but I put it as a 4 actually, because of the sort of stormy existential stuff that he's dealing with too.
Yeah, I have it as a 4. And I have it as about like a lot of misplaced emotion, a lot of people who are out of touch with their emotions, a lot of people who are overflowing with emotion. Yeah, totally. 4. Macbeth.
3.
Yep, same. For kind of all the reasons as Richard III. Yep. The same sort of tyrannical takeover idea.
About achievement.
Othello.
Othello was on a little bit of a list for me for a while of like the ones that I had trouble with. I ended up landing on a 2, because of the helping, manipulation, all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I have it as well. Romeo and Juliet.
You probably just. I have it as a 7 for all the reasons that you and I have talked about a million times, which is that it's a comedy that goes awry, and that it is but that's the place it wanted to go, and it just didn't get there. It's masking this whole other thing.
Interesting.
I have
it as a 4.
Mm-hmm. I know why. I know why. I don't disagree with anything you would say about it at all.
I think that I think in that first scene with Benvolio, Romeo just like puts his finger on like the pulse of his entire world, and it's such a fascinating moment. Here's much to do with hate, but more with love. He just gets on some level that everyone in Verona, all these young men who are killing each other, are drowning in repressed emotions. Like he gets.
And
that.
I think if the play was called Romeo, I would probably have landed on that too.
But she's all about the like the sheer, like cataclysmic experience of love as much as he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's just better. I think she's just better at handling it. She just has better ideas about what to do.
Yeah, I think for me,
got more common sense.
what the play wants to be is the happy ending, is the party, is the marriage, is the coupling, is all of those things, and that's what the energy of the play wants to be, and it's cut off, and that's why I think like it's supposed to be a party. Mercutio is supposed to stay alive the whole time. It's supposed to be this fantastic celebration, and it is not, so it's cut off. And I agree that the impact is very fourish. Totally on board with that.
Okay. See, these last two plays, this is going to be really interesting. Timon of Athens.
Timon. I think it's I think Timon is a 2.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I agree. Titus.
8.
I have it as an 8 wing 7 because I think we got to like grapple with the fact that there's a lot of black comedy in that play.
Yeah.
A lot of dark humor in that play. Yeah. Which is funny because 8 wing 7 is what we decided Titus the character is as well.
Yes, also true.
That like gleeful streak. All right. So what I feel like we had in terms of plays.
You know, I was counting how many we disagreed on.
Yeah.
I think there are 38. I think we did 38. Because I don't think we did like Edward the whatever, the third.
No.
And I don't think I've read that play ever in my life, so I couldn't tell you anything about it. We disagreed on 11. But that's it. All the others are very apparent. We disagreed on. I will read them to you. Henry VI, Part 1, The Winter's Tale, Hamlet, Henry VI, Part 3, Richard II, Romeo and Juliet, Antony and Cleopatra, both of which I had as 7s because I think they're the same play. 2 Gentlemen of Verona, Coriolanus, Midsummer Night's Dream. And actually that 11 counts The Tempest, which we didn't really disagree on. I was just soft about. So hooray, 11 that we potentially disagreed on. And I think I won like a good 7 or 8.
I mean, I would say the fact that we agreed on whatever, 27, 26. I think that is entirely due to the fact that we had the best teacher ever in Kellie. Like we would never have been able to do this if we didn't have Kellie like giving our brilliant introductions to each video and just like thoroughly explicating each type so articulately and kind of comprehensively. So Kellie, thank you for like teaching us about the Enneagram. This has been awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm going to have to get into some Shakespeare now to be able to hang with the rest of the conversation next time.
The last thing I'm going to say is we're going to make a post. I've been trying as we go along to catalog the sort of single Shakespeare character that best embodies each type, like the Shakespeare character that like is quintessentially representative of each type. And I've tried to pick characters that are big name protagonists just so that they're the most recognizable to the greatest number of people. So I have that list as well. But yeah, this is the end of we've come to the end of our
Jeremy, I have one more question.
Yeah.
If you were to type Sweet Tea Shakespeare, what would you type?
7.
Company
7.
has.
We're 7.
Yeah, I thought so too.
We're a party.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a 7. There you go.
Amazing. Well, for those of you who have listened all the way through, Emily Garrison, I know you're one of them. Thanks for hanging with us.
Thanks, Emily. Mario's on today, too.
Hey, Mario.
Yeah, he was wondering about the Scottish play. I hope he got his answer. Hooray.
There's 3 witches. It's a 3. The number is meaningful.
We did it.
We did it.
And now we can announce our spin-off series with Kellie and me where we just do public therapy.
It'll literally just be a phone call between the two of us. Nobody will listen. It'll be fine. But I'm here for it, Jeremy. I got you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
You've been listening to the Sweet Tea Shakespeare Hours. Our podcast was produced by Claire Martin and Jeremy Feebig. Ashanti Bennett is our general manager. Our theme song was written by Owen Eddy. This podcast was made possible by our friends at the Arts Council of Fayetteville and Cumberland County and our fabulous monthly sustainers at patreon.com/sweetteashakes. You can join us there for an exclusive weekly podcast and loads of other fun perks. If you've enjoyed your time with us today, subscribe to this podcast or leave us a review on whatever platform you get your podcasts from. If you want to hang out with us in a future episode, drop us a line at ours@sweetteashakespeare.com. That's HOURS@sweetteashakespeare.com. Thanks again for listening to the Sweet Tea Shakespeare Hours. Until next time, you that way, we this way.